So hi everyone, I hope you're doing well today. Middle of July, so the middle of summer in Britain and Europe, Northern Hemisphere. Middle of winter with us here, quite cold today, quite windy today. But that's life, isn't it? Imagine if it just stayed the one temperature all the time, we'd be complaining about that too. Even if I often say jokingly that maybe 22 or 23 degrees is like the perfect. People may agree upon this around the world. But even if it stayed like that, soon people would probably get bored. And so maybe the different temperatures maybe help us to stay alert, or maybe not. So let's do the chanting now, traditional Buddhist reciting of traditional prayers or verses and mantras. Be mindful, be aware, be conscientious. Don't just do it sort of deaf ears or based on deaf ears or blind. You could say blind ears, but that doesn't really make sense, does it? Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from the happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I vow to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, about to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, about to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayatam gate gate para samgate bodhe suha. Tayatam gate para samgate bodhe suha. Tayatam gate para samgate bodhi suha. So now you get yourself ready for meditation. Getting nice, comfortable position, as upright as possible for you. But of course, the most important thing is the upright mind, rooted in virtue, like a big, healthy oak tree, patient and flexible, humble, but still stable. Now bring your mind to your body, and we will release the tension from our bodies. Release the tension all the way from the tips of your toes, up your leg, up your upper torso to your shoulders, to the tips of your fingers, and then to the top of your head. So let's take a little minute or two, or minute, say, to do this. So now you've done this, scan your body once more, from the bottom to the top, just to see if there's any more tension that you can release. And when you've sufficiently released this tension, bring your mind initially to the tip of your nose, and we will follow the breath. Place the mind onto the breath as we breathe in our nose all the way into the lungs. Notice the lungs expand when they fill with air and then compress as you breathe out through your nose. During this short session, and any sessions, if your mind wanders with thoughts or feelings, emotions, any mental activity arises, don't cling to it. Don't grasp at it, but also don't try to forcefully push it away or deny it even. But let it go naturally by replacing your mind onto your breath. And if your mind starts to become dull or sleepy, then wake it up a little bit by refocusing or replacing your mind on your breath more brightly. This way, replacing the mind on the breath is the antidote for both the agitated mind as well as the dull mind. So let's now practice like this in silence for a short while. So now we can feel very pleased with ourselves for engaging in the practice. And let's fill ourselves with universal loving kindness, either by utilizing the feeling only, or you can visualize yourself filled with the white light, or white nectar if we prefer. And as you generate this universal loving kindness and fill your whole being with it, I will recite the Metta Sutta. This is the work for those who are skilled and peaceful, who seek the good. May they be able and upright, honest of gentle speech and not proud. May they be content and easily supported, unburdened with their senses calmed. May they be wise and not arrogant and without desire for the possessions of others. May they do nothing mean or that the wise would reprove. May all sentient beings be happy. May they live in safety and joy. All sentient beings, whether weak or strong, great or small, short or tall, seen or unseen, near or distant, born or to be born, may they all be happy. Let no one deceive or despise another being in any state. Let none by anger or hatred wish harm upon another. Just as a mother would protect her only child with her life, even so let one cultivate a boundless love towards all sentient beings. Let one radiate that boundless love towards the entire world, above and below and in all directions, without hindrance, without ill will, without enmity. Standing or walking, sitting or lying down, during all one's waking hours, may one remain mindful of this heart that is, and this way of living that is the best in the world, unattached to speculations, views, and sense desires. With clear vision, such a person will never be reborn in the cycle of suffering. So now radiate this loving kindness outwards, initially to your loved ones, family, and friends. Also filling them with this universal loving kindness. And with the wish and thoughts, may they be happy. May they be free from suffering. May they be peaceful. And now gradually radiate further and further. Now include those you are indifferent towards, may regard as strangers, whether you know them a little or not at all. Filling them also with universal loving kindness. May they also be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. Now also include those you may regard as enemies, have some sort of aversion towards. May find them irritating, frustrating, make you angry even. Extend this loving kindness also to them and fill them with the universal loving kindness. Imagine that, even the people around the world that behave dreadfully, if they had this universal loving kindness, absorb their mind with this universal loving kindness, wouldn't that be marvelous? May they be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. So now gradually radiate further and further this universal loving kindness, gathering momentum, fast momentum now, spreading it like a tidal wave throughout space. Include those living beings that live around your immediate area, whether they live on the land, in the waters, fly through the air, born from wombs or eggs or moisture, or through transformation. And also all the living beings and all of nature throughout your whole state or county. And other states and counties throughout the whole world. or I should say your country first. Have this loving kindness pervade your whole country. And then other countries, those you're familiar with and have an affinity towards, those you have indifference towards, and those you may even have an aversion towards, until your loving kindness pervades the whole planet, the whole world. And other worlds throughout this whole solar system. Other solar systems throughout the galaxy. And all of the galaxies throughout the whole universe and beyond. Have your loving kindness pervade throughout infinite space. And also be present here and now, and we will recite the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious bodhicitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of shunyata, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. And so, as you know, we are having an introduction. I think this is introduction number 3, or part 3, to the commentary on the Metta, Karanya Metta Sutta, or the Buddha's teaching on universal loving kindness and friendliness and so forth. And of course, next week we'll actually start the commentary. So beginning with an overview, as I do every time, we have a new subject. And the overview obviously will cover the whole sutra, the morality part, meditation part, and the wisdom part. And of course, all parts include universal loving kindness, which also, of course, include the other immeasurables of universal compassion and empathy or empathetic joy and equanimity as well. And so for the introduction, as you know, I've been utilizing my songs from the musical, mini musical that I've written, or wrote many years ago now, 2012, and utilizing the songs as poetry to tell the story of where, when, and why the Buddha actually gave this teaching, okay, at that time. And so today we'll continue that and finish up on that. As you may remember, we left off as the monks had left this perfect place that they had found to spend the 3 months rain retreat and practice their meditations, and left there because they got fearful, got kind of scared away in a sense. And so they went back to see the Buddha for advice, which, by the way, could you imagine that? Imagine having a Buddha available to go and ask advice from. I think they were very wise in doing that. And some people have mentioned in the past to me years and years ago, oh, but they got so scared. Why did they get so scared? Well, human beings. You know, sometimes I think people think, oh, as soon as you go and live in a temple, then all your worries go away. But that's actually the reason why I go and live in the temple. We are imperfect. And so it's to train our mind, you know, engage in the practice, the formal practice of meditation and different types of meditation on the breath to develop concentration, you know, universal loving kindness meditation to develop that quality, and others as well. And so, you know, nobody's perfect there. There may have been an arhat in this group of 500 monks. There may have been bodhisattvas, but they wouldn't reveal that to the other practitioners because they needed to learn for themselves and not just rely upon a teacher or teachers or those beings that are far along the path, much further along than they are themselves. So they have to develop this, their practice by themselves with the advice of their teachers. And of course, in this case now, they have a Buddha alive in the world and giving the Dharma teachings. They have the great opportunity to go to him, which is the perfect teacher, obviously, perfect Dharma coming from the perfect teacher. And so they went back there, quite a long journey through the forests, and maybe the hills, the foothills of the Himalayas, and they eventually got back to the Buddha. So now I'll pick up the next song, which is called The Solution. After the monks had related their experiences to the Lord Buddha, he advised them to return to the same location, as it was the perfect place for them to purify their minds, for meditation and to achieve liberation. He said, "Fear not. To be free from the harassment caused by the deities, learn this teaching. It will be a theme for your meditation, as well as a formula for protection and healing." And so the Buddha gave the teaching, which they all memorized and reverently took their leave and journeyed back to that perfect place, constantly reciting and meditating on the Buddha's words on universal love. Now, I'll mention this in a moment after the next poem or song, but perfect time and place. So I'll go back to that. This was the perfect time and place for the Buddha to give that teaching to that group of monks, that group of people. And a fully enlightened Buddha always gives the perfect teaching during the perfect time and at the perfect place. Okay, so I mean, the rest of us, there's some Dharma teachers in the world, as you know, some very highly realized Dharma teachers, some more on an ordinary level with a bit more experience than the students. And so, we all try our best, but we're never 100% perfect. Perfect time, perfect place. We do our best but sometimes, maybe especially when we're beginning out with little experience as so-called teachers, maybe we teach the wrong thing to the wrong people at the wrong time, maybe at the wrong place even. But we learn from that and hopefully make those mistakes less over time. For instance, a very obvious example of that is giving the wisdom teachings to somebody just starting out on the Dharma path that's never heard this stuff before. You actually could confuse them. You could even turn them away from the Dharma path. Maybe they think it's too hard, or it's attacking their ego, and then they don't like it, so they turn away from it. So we have to try our best, as all practitioners, we need to try our best to share the teachings with others that is right for them at that time. Now, of course, this theme of universal loving kindness, I think this is always, I don't think there'd be any or many times at all that this wouldn't be the perfect teaching for somebody. If somebody's angry, you can give this type of teaching. If somebody is, full of themselves, even if they look very, very happy, but maybe they're full of themselves with too much ego, too much pride and arrogance, maybe they need to learn this, need to have more appreciation for others, for instance, need to show themselves more loving kindness so that they're not filled with this sort of myopic view of just hanging on to their pride, their self, and so forth. And so this teaching, I think, and many, many more types of people, but this types of teaching, I think, is a perfect teaching to give probably 99.9% of people at any time. This type of meditation also, because it's quite active and you can utilize your creativity in this type of meditation. So I think even people with really overactive minds, and even those with really dull minds, then actually can utilize the visualization, the thought of this universal love and kindness, sharing it with others, and so forth. I think this is quite active, and so is suitable for them as well as the people that have developed certain levels or depths of concentration as well. So I think perfect teaching. Let me have a look here. So the Buddha, the interesting thing here is that I think a lot of the monks, and I'd say especially the inexperienced ones, were probably going to, maybe the Buddha was going to say, stay with me at Jetavana Monastery, or find a different place, rather than go back to the same place and change your mind, because that's the teaching there. You need to be more friendly. You need to be less self-centered. You need to be more loving and more kind. yourself. And that's what you need to change here. No, you don't change the deities or the human beings there. You don't change the animals there. You don't change the nature there. It's a perfect place for you to practice. Probably just with the right amount of peace and all the things that are needed to survive physically as well, but also just a good amount of disturbance so that you can advance along the path in your practice. So go back there. You know, you're not getting out of this that easy, basically. And you're not going to have me baby you. You have to go and learn to practice by yourselves. I remember years ago when, after that, we did the musical initially in front of, I think maybe, I don't know, 1,000 people or something at Melbourne Town Hall. There was a couple of monk friends of mine who were not aware of this story. Of course, people, practitioners, including the monks and nuns, they would focus on certain teachings. And of course, if they are teachers, they would learn as much of the whole Dharma as possible so that they can teach to different types of people and different audiences. But these particular monks actually didn't know the story of the Metta Sutta, which surprised me at the time, actually. And they said, well, what were the, on stage, why were the monks all scared? And why were they running around? That's really, it's actually inappropriate to show monks like that. And I said to them, actually, it's not inappropriate because it's actually telling the truth. And I know that some conservative traditions, for instance, prefer to have monks and nuns portrayed in very peaceful, wise, compassionate way. But actually, we're all human beings, aren't we? Including us here now today, including the one everybody practicing in the temples or in the forests and the mountains. We are not perfect yet, and we are working our way towards, you know, first of all, abandoning any negative qualities and eventually eradicating them, adopting obviously good qualities, and eventually perfecting them. And so I was quite surprised, actually, taken aback just for a few seconds there from that comment. So I said, no, it's actually telling the truth about the story is very important. We can't make things all fluffy and nice all the time. Yes, these monks, they were, and I said to them, maybe there's some advanced there, obviously. There would be some of the elders that were wonderful practitioners, I'm sure. But like I said earlier, a lot of the monks were inexperienced and they got scared and they went back to the Buddha. I said, isn't it a great, think about them going back to the Buddha to ask the question. They had the opportunity. And I said, you can go back to your master or masters to ask that now. That time, the number one master alive was the Buddha. So they actually got the opportunity. So I actually turned it into a positive, even though their confusion. And I said, you should learn the story about this. I know you probably know the Metta Sutta very well, even off by heart, even, you know, could have absorbed your mind to a certain level with it, but you should know the story leading up to it and then afterwards as well, so that you yourself can teach it to others, you know. So anyway, just thought I'd share that part of the story with you. Then, like I said, the song, or like it says in the song, it will be a theme for their meditation. So the Buddha's saying to them, this is your main meditation that you do during the rainy season retreat. And it's also a formula for protection and healing. So that the more we fill ourselves with this universal loving kindness, the more we heal our mind. And more heal the mind, maybe we can heal the body if we have certain ailments. The more we protect ourselves from any negativities. The main protection, or what we need to protect ourselves from, is our own negativities, from our anger, from hatred and the like. But also this can have protection and healing for outside influences as well. And then, of course, memorize. I encourage you to memorize the sutra. And it's quite short. It's only, you know, from the song point of view and my poetry point of view, it's 4 verses. I think it may be 10 verses in the Pali version, something like that. And so memorize it in English, in your native language. And so, or the language you speak the most. And then constantly recite it, do it every day, and meditate on it at different times. but utilize as well the Vipassana technique, the penetrative insight technique, to get to know these teachings. Okay, get to know this teaching, and you know, the morality part, the meditation part, as well as the wisdom part. And that'll do for that. The next song is called Liberation. So this is now coming, like, beginning of the song, if I remember correctly, is them at that time, directly following the previous poem or song, and then the story within. And then I think towards the, it finishes up on the end, the rainy season, towards the end. And so I will recite it now and give commentary if needed. Nearing the forest, the hearts of the deities were now filled with friendship and goodwill. And that's because these monks had been reciting, meditating on, memorizing, obviously, and or already memorized, and now practicing this universal love and kindness, this metta, maha metta. And so obviously the deities felt that, they perceived that. And so nearing the forest, the hearts of the deities were now filled with friendship and goodwill. So they materialized themselves in human form, welcoming the monks with great respect and hospitality, causing water and food to be supplied. They reverently made offerings, then resuming their normal form, extend an invitation to stay and meditate without fear or hesitation. Throughout the rains retreat, the deities protected them and caused the place to be free from all noise and distraction. In perfect silence, they practiced their meditations, and for the good of all, attained liberation. Such is the power of universal love. Infinite are the blessings for those who live this way. So my young friends, I encourage you and all living beings to sing the Buddha's words on universal love. So that's obviously part of the play. That's the last two lines. The teaching, it goes back to the present time rather than telling a story about the past, about the time that these monks were practicing now after getting the teachings from the Buddha. And he says to the students, I encourage you and all living beings to sing, or in this case, recite the Buddha's words on universal love. So that's, I encourage you to learn these, you know, and you can transcribe if you want from this teaching today. Just look at the review of the video. Once again, I remind you, the YouTube channel it's very easy to access all of the videos, including other videos as well, on this YouTube channel. So obviously today's class, I recited once again the Universal Love Sutra, Universal Love and Kindness Sutra, or the Metta Sutra. And so you can transcribe it, or if you like, you can look up the songs on the website, like I mentioned, or even the Facebook posts that I occasionally do. Sometimes I put the lyrics there as well. And so, but I really encourage you to memorize it so you have it with you all the time. And what else can I say? So basically, when we exude this universal love and kindness, there's a natural thing that happens with people around us, especially those that are very attracted to this kindness, and maybe those that are very angry or very nasty type people maybe won't get it. It will leave a good imprint on their consciousness for some time to ripen in the future. But for most people, like I said, especially those that are very attracted to kindness and friendliness, it would leave a really good feeling with them, and they will feel really, really safe around you, in a sense protected around you, and therefore then you can communicate with them very, very clearly. And so I encourage you to practice this, but you'll get to know more of this as we go through the commentary over the coming weeks. Okay. The other thing, I want to go back to perfect time and place. This teaching, I said every time the Buddha gave a teaching was the perfect time, perfect teaching, perfect place. Okay, but for us as practitioners, what is the perfect time and place to practice? I lip read you. Yes, now is the only time we have. The past is already gone. The future never arrives, actually. The future always becomes the future. When what we thought was the future arrives, it's now, the present. So practice here and now, whether this be to do with studying, whether it be to do with reciting the sutras or the verses, whether it be to do with engaging in different types of meditation, not at the same time, of course, and then, or whether it be to do with absorbing your mind or practicing on the cushion or off the cushion, sharing the Dharma with others. You know, here and now is the time to practice. Doesn't matter what you're engaged in at that time, as long as it's good, by the way, virtuous actions, virtuous speech, virtuous thoughts. So I know that we're very close to finishing the class. I rejoice in your goodness and in your meritorious practice, in the sharing of the Dharma. I look forward to seeing you for the next class next week.